You are growing more dangerous, selected ones. Your independence and aggressiveness terrify them. They used to know you as the person they mocked, underestimated, and disregarded, the one who would overextend, shrink, and explain themselves. However, something has changed. Even if you are now quiet, your presence is stronger than their loudest yells. They scurry to behave as if nothing has occurred, but it is too late. They are deceived by their concerned expression. They fix their clothing and clean their mouths. Look away too quickly and then return. It is not about conceit. It has nothing to do with ego energy, the kind that cannot be borrowed, stolen, or counterfeited, and that forces others to listen regardless of their inclination to do so. Your presence is dominant, not disruptive. What would be the worst-case scenario for them? You do not even make an attempt. They used to be able to dominate you via loudness, not power or intellect. They introduced instability, manipulation, gaslighting, and passive hostile taunting wrapped in false sympathy into your life. Every encounter was a well-crafted game designed to keep you on edge, doubting yourself, and stuck in a never-ending cycle of proving, defending, and explaining. You must be reactive for them since they controlled the narrative as long as they could draw you into the storm. They needed you to be engaged. However, something has changed. You're no longer playing their game. They prod. They poked. They try to provoke a reaction, waiting for you to lash out. Defend yourself and allow them to lead you into a disagreement that may alter the meaning of your words and reality. You offer them with nothing. No response. Don't become irritated. Not even a glint of recognition. And that silence. It terrifies them. They expected wrath. Fury nevertheless expresses compassion and a feeling of connection. They would have preferred it. It gives them something to twist and manipulate. Silence. They have no control over the stillness. They raise their voice to irritate you. They propagate rumors with the expectation that you would hear them. They construct up elaborate stories in their heads, convincing themselves that your quiet implies that you are secretly plotting, secretly in anguish, and secretly wishing you could go back in time. You are not. You are calm in the presence of something larger. Not empty. Nothing bothers them more than the fact that you already have eddies. They spent so much time creating self-doubt and making you question every decision you made that they never expected you to just go. Not with a great exit or last argument. Just left. Are there no phone calls? No excuses. There is no need to clarify your identification or dispute their falsehoods. Your lack of excitement speaks louder than anything they could possibly say, expecting a message that will never come. They check their phones, hoping that someone would let them know you missed them. They bring up your name throughout conversations. They wait at places they assume you might visit again in the hopes of getting a glimpse of you, returning to your prior behaviors. You never do. You have learned to disengage. Something they would never do. You have nothing more to prove. Not because you are bitter or want retaliation. They muttered. They shout. They shout into space. However, if you do not feed their delusions, they will be forced to face themselves. Their main concern is that you can see how they hesitate, delay, overthink, and seek permission before acting. They are trapped in a vicious circle of fear disguised as preparedness, hampered by their own doubts. They persuade themselves that they are being cautious and that they are assessing their options. However, what is the reality? They're afraid of failure. Then there's you, making judgments, moving and picking without hesitation, without waiting for permission, and without regard for the views of others. They are perplexed by your certainty. They believe you must have insider knowledge, secret intelligence, or some hidden benefit. They whisper to one another. How did they know? How did you know? Walk away before the tragedy strikes? How did you recognize which opportunities were genuine and which were a trap? How did you know whom to trust? Who to avoid and when to attack was no longer relevant. Do you? However, it does not come from them. They feel that by keeping you in the dark, they can control your actions. They felt that you needed their advice, opinions, and endorsement. They didn't comprehend how deep your inner guidance was. You do not move out of alignment in response to outside sounds. You move while they fumble. They question every decision they make. You proceed without looking back. They consider it conceit. They refer to it as luck. They are aware of the fact, however, which is that you are hearing something they cannot hear in an effort to distract you. They want to undermine you. They spread stories in order to lower your self-esteem, hoping that you would misstep and fall. They place obstacles in your path. However, nothing works since their approval does not provide you power. Their expectations are not the cause of it. It is not based on their ideas, rules, or systems. It starts within. As a result, you carve your own path while they hesitate, waiting for someone else to decide their fate. They converse. You take action. They bide their time. You build. They contemplate. You're aware. That's why they are terrified of you. They thought they could take your place. They assumed you'd always be there, hoping, waiting, and displaying your worth to be accepted. They treated you as if you were nothing and made fun of you. However, nothing can become everything. And now they watch from afar, in the corners of rooms where they used to be able to degrade you, and behind screens. They notice your change. They watch the strength that no longer seeks permission, the certainty that never falters in putting people at rest. They see that the brilliance in your eyes has not faded, and they need it because they know what they have lost, not because they care or have changed. They never appreciated you when you were with them. They didn't expect you to exceed them. You were designed to be little, approachable, and in a position where others could decide your worth. But you didn't. You evolved. They need you, but their pride keeps them from acknowledging it. They search for methods to get back in, but they do not apologize, never with regrets. Instead, they experiment with cursory remarks, casual check-ins, and false support disguised as interest. They believe that their unexpected recognition would make you so happy that you will fling open the door and welcome them in as if nothing had happened. However, you recollect how they mocked your difficulties, how they ignored you when you needed them the most, and how they whispered about you when they thought you wouldn't hear. You recollect times when they had the potential to help you but chose to walk away. What about the memory? It prohibits you from letting them back in, which is incorrect. Have some things changed? Not just them. You. You are no longer looking to them for approval. You no longer appreciate their approbation. They go wild about it. They felt they could determine who was significant. They felt they were custodians of your worth. The roles are now flipped. They are presently studying you. They're yearning for your attention. They need your vigor. They want to think that they remain significant to you. But since you don't pursue, they don't. You are not begging. If someone slams the door in your face, you do not open it for them. What about irony? The same people who formerly mocked you are now eager to meet you again. However, you will not. Now that you are your own source, you realize how much they have always needed you. You awakened after accepting that you never needed them. You choose to leave the game after realizing it for what it was. You unraveled the cords they used to pull so easily. They now see you as untouched by their usual ploys, independent and untouchable. And they loathe it because they have never had any love, respect, or legitimate power over you. Just control. Simply exercise. Control. They were left with nothing when you removed it. They tried to induce guilt in you. You have not responded. They sought to draw you into a conflict. You said nothing. They tried to depict you as the evil guy. You let them talk. They realized the one thing they never wanted to admit. They need you more than you ever needed them. Every attempt to coax you back and just made them more enraged and desperate. They did not think you could live without them. They never imagined you would surpass, influence, or outgrow them. Nonetheless, you remain strong, resilient, and undisturbed. They are terrified by it, not because of what you did to them, not because you want vengeance, but because you have transformed into something they cannot control. Furthermore, individuals who rely on control are fearful of what they cannot control. As a result, they whisper nasty remarks in order to exert control over you. They create new stories in an effort to draw you back down. However, none of that works since they can only reach you if you erase the strings. Their absence is no longer a danger to you. They can no longer use their disapproval to manipulate you. Now that you understand your worth, they can no longer make you feel worthless. The scariest risk is that they lost everything when they couldn't control you. Let us now take a moment to honor those who have been selected. Cheers to those with a different take on the world. The quiet defenders, the watchful spirits who are always attentive and vigilant. They wouldn't want it any other way, and they do not fit the mold. They forge their own paths, fighting unseen conflicts and shining light on dark areas, while others pursue well-known ones. It's okay if it's not for everyone, but you'll know something is for you when you feel it in your spirit. Do not wear masks. This is not a pretense, just the facts. This is the site of the Obsidian Inner Order, a group of like-minded people who join together to share information, form bonds, and make changes. More individuals who are united by purpose rather than conformity. You know where to find us when you're ready. There is a URL in the description. If not, that's okay too. Since we're continuously keeping an eye on things and modifying them in ways that aren't evident, congratulations to those who pursue their own route, since it's who they are. Not to draw attention to you. A toast. Thank you. Whether it's a phone call, a message, or an unexpected appearance at a place they know you frequent, they always return. They look carefree at first, as if nothing has occurred, as if nothing had broken, and as if they never left you. While they thrived, they attempt to soften you, erode your determination, and make you forget why you left in the first place. By recalling the good old days and recollections, they don't know, however, that the version of you they remember no longer exists. Their nostalgia no longer embraces you. You've evolved from your past need for their acceptance. Give up your peace to keep them close, and use the past as a reason to hold on. They detect that something is different. You can see it in their eyes. They want you to embrace their old behaviors and talk to you in the same way. However, the meaning of the phrase land has shifted. Their internal jokes seem false. Their charm seems false. They're seeking for the old you, the one who would have given all for them, who would have showed forgiveness without expecting it, who would have gone out of their way to continue the relationship. However, that person is no longer there, and the resulting silence. They anticipated to see familiar people when they returned, so it's really noisy. But instead, they saw a stranger wearing yours. They were not ready for this version of you. You see, the one who does not desire closure and does not feel the need to show how much you have changed, who needs to rehash past tragedies if they have been resolved. They feel you would have become emotional with time and absence. However, they ignore the fact that you have not been waiting. You've been creating, changing, and growing. And you were busy evolving into someone they didn't recognize while they remained locked in the past, certain that it would always keep you together. Now they are scrambling, trying to get back in. They remind you of how much fun you had together, how important you were to them, and how bad things don't have to be. But they just feel nervous because of you. It's because others feel it, not because you're cruel or hostile. They no longer belong in your world. They never matured into the sort of person who can now walk with you, not because you push them away, and they will never be able to overcome that fact. The unmistakable difference between who you were and who you have become. Allow them to stand at the doorway of your history, hoping they could be a better version of you. Don't look back, however. You have no desire to bring the past back to life. You used to race for places that drained you more than they filled you. Run for possibilities that required you to beg. Run approach those who have scarcely noticed you. You were always the one looking for respect, love, success, and recognition. However, something has changed. You gave up running. I gave up trying to prove myself. Quit placing things on yourself that were not meant for you. During the quiet, a miracle happened. You started to get all that was planned for you. They took you for granted while you were pursuing. So your absence now has more influence than your presence ever did. They viewed you as an option, minimizing your worth and disregarding your efforts. They notice now because you're no longer present, not because you are loud or demanding. And that absence is more powerful than any words could ever be. What has changed? They ponder. They comment on how everything seemed to be coming together for you. From the shadows, they watch you, unable to understand why formerly locked doors are suddenly opening for you, and they suffer as you triumph. Not because you are lucky or have an edge, but because you are not spending your energy chasing after things that are beneath you. They see you flourishing despite their disdain, lack of connections, and lack of encouragement because they subconsciously feel you rely on them. It frightens them without their consent. They believed you lacked authority. They now understand that you never had to pursue. All you had to do was be alive. Furthermore, your alignment is unparalleled. The right circumstances, the right people, and the ideal chance are all heading your way right now. Your energy controls them, not because you appealed for them or the ones who previously ignored you. They scurry. They try to reintegrate into your life by professing to always be there for you. They make an attempt to remind you of your previous self, hoping that you would return to their ideal of you. However, you don't have to prove anything anymore. You do not pursue. You do not provide an explanation. You attract people to you. Furthermore, they will never understand it. They bear the weight of their untapped potential. When they notice you at one moment, you were exactly like them, standing next to them, going through the same difficulties and dealing with the same limits. But you acted when it was time to change. They did not. They convinced themselves that growth was too difficult, dangerous, and so they made excuses, chose comfort, and decided to stay static. They are reminded of what they may have become. Every time they see you, they do not detest you. They despise the proof that they had a choice. Your presence drives them to admit that they were the only ones stopping themselves. They could have matured with you. They may have increased, spread, or escaped, but they didn't. They now watch you speak about yourself and sit in mute disdain, wishing you fail. So they may feel justified in being little. However, they are irrelevant to your objective. It's not your fault that they're resistant to change. They'll never forgive you for putting yourself first. Examine your surroundings. Currently, everything you do is purposeful. Every option has a limit. Every progress. Everything was built with a reason. Your life is no longer about survival. Freedom is what you live for. There are no unhealthy connections, no financial restraints, and no unnecessary noises. They hunt for flaws in your foundation and attempt to disrupt you. But none exists. They realize too late that the weapons they used against you are no longer effective. Your calm is not a coincidence. Stability is not due to chance. This is the outcome of taking responsibility, removing distractions, shedding needless weight, and refusing to conform to the expectations of others. They cannot even get to you, but they want to shake you. They watch your every move while speaking as if you do not exist. They examine your confidence while accusing you of being egotistical in hushed conversations. People ask about you, even if they swear they don't care. They look for signs that you failed, looking for any signs that you've returned to the identity they used to control. They usually find strength when they look for weaknesses. They always find progress when they hunt for adversity, and it consumes them. When they see you standing tall, they feel admiration, which they loathe. They despise the fact that their own lives seem insignificant in comparison to yours, despite their best attempts to pull you down because you move while they talk. Their whispers are useless, and they will continue to watch you. You've never wanted to get even. You did not have to. Those who have mistreated you are breaking apart. They are being crushed by the weight of their own actions. Not because you retaliated or exposed them. They shattered themselves, not you, as they had anticipated. They will be held responsible for every lie they said, every trap they set, and every crime they committed against you. You're unfazed, elated, and unconcerned. They watch you from afar, expecting you to respond and express empathy for their situation. You've moved on, however, and that is what wrecks them the most since you are not the cause of their destruction. This stems from what they did to you. They are now obligated to deal with it. Ordinary was never meant for you. Every attempt to make you weaker just made you stronger. Every rejection, betrayal, and secret fight shaped you in some way. This power is neither conditional, temporary, or borrowed. You own it. They assumed you were barely surviving the tragedy they had caused you. You were never in ruins, however. You were getting up. You are currently undefeated. They will continue to watch and wait for proof that you are still the person they know, the person they could manipulate, the one who would lose it under pressure. However, since you were never meant to be stopped, they will die waiting. It's not luck. This is not good fortune on your side. You have always been like this. Allow them to whisper. Allow them to have their doubts. Allow the weight of their own insignificance to fall on them. There is nothing more for you to prove. They wanted you to fail. They were granted front row seats for your climb. Instead, how has this transformation changed your personal life? Please share your experience in the area given below. Inform them that you are untouchable and that their worst dread has already been fulfilled.